Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat. It's my privilege to introduce Commander Richard Barr. He entered the Navy in September 1966 after graduating from the University of Montana and was designated a Naval Aviator in February 1968. His first assignment was to HAL 3. He reported in country in May 1968. He served as a tactical pilot on Det 3, assigned as an AHAC and later fire team lead. He shot down near the Cambodian border on 23 March 1969. After about a year in the hospital on limited duty, he returned to HAL 3 in 1970 and continued to serve as a Det pilot, officer in charge, and squadron standardization officer. He also served in HT-8 in 1971, which later split into HT-18, served as standardization pilot and later head of that department, stand department. His next assignment was at HC-3, where he serves as a Det officer in charge and a squadron safety officer. He's also served as air ops on USS Carlo before being selected as XO, with following as CO of HC-1. His next assignment was to the staff at Halloween Res, where he served as a training officer for HAL 4 and HAL 5, and the wing safety officer, before returning to the USS Carlo as air boss for 3.5 years before retirement in 1987. After retirement, he moved his family to Ennis, Montana. He's accumulated over 5,000 hours of flight time and 1,200 combat missions, and his personal awards include the Distinguished Flying Cross, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, 47 Strike Flight Air Medals, 5 Single Action Air Medals, and his son Matthew is currently CO of HSM 78. Ladies and gentlemen, Commander Dick Barr.
Good afternoon. It's just wonderful to see this great crowd here, and NHA is doing so well. Thinking back this morning, I think I joined NHA in 1971, so it's been a long time, and most of you guys weren't even born then. Anyway, it's a real privilege to be here today, and an honor to address everybody and tell us a little bit about what our squadron did in Vietnam. We were kind of a unique squadron, one of a kind, and it was a real joy and an unbelievable experience to be a pilot or a crewman in HAL 3. I'll tell you a little bit. First off, I want to apologize. I was supposed to give this talk last year in San Diego, and to make a long story short, I departed Pensacola. Was supposed to leave at 7:30 in the morning to go to Dallas to San Diego. Ended up leaving at 14:30 that day, get to Dallas-Fort Worth. Ended up spending 18 hours in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. The next morning I got bumped off of 3 flights trying to get to San Diego. And I finally told the American Airlines person, I said, "You see that sign that says Pensacola? Put me on that flight, I'm going back." And I give up, I can't get here. So I apologize to the association, but Captain Bill was nice enough to invite me back again this year to try it again. So I got here yesterday on American Airlines again, but without any conflict. We made it. Anyway, a couple things I'd like to talk about. First off, I know today's Navy is very PC. In our day in the Navy, the only PC meant to us was partly cloudy your destination when you got to cross country. But I understand what is happening now with the PC unit. As my son told me one time, he'd been in the Navy about a year. He said, "You know, Dad, you wouldn't last 30 days in today's Navy. Now I'm down to 15 minutes." And believe me, I was not a good guy or a well-behaved individual in the Navy. We had our fun. We all did in those days, and we were able to get away with it. I was written up on a letter of caution. Tell a bit of dirt about myself. I was written up a letter of caution from the CEO of the USS Hancock for being too rowdy in the Subic Bay O Club in 1973. Then I was also, at the same incident, had to go see the commanding officer of Subic Bay, and he banned me from life from all the clubs in Subic Bay. So, fortunately, Subic Bay is closed down now because I would have been able to go back. And I do remember standing there in front of the captain as he told me I was banned from life. for life. And I was thinking to myself, is that his life or my life? I decided it probably wasn't a good thing to do at that point. And also at the same time, 2 SEALs got the same reprimand. They were banned from the club. They were involved in the same incident at the club. So I was not what you call a perfect officer all the way through. Also, when I was the air boss on Tarawa, we were going into Perth, Australia, and I took the initial flight in with the ship's Eagle Huey. I came back and I landed and shut down on the 1MC of the ship. Air boss report to the captain's in-port cabin. I go up to the captain's cabin and knock in. Captain Newman was sitting there and he says, Air boss, you have 7 flight violations in one hop. And I just kind of gave it the old, oh well, what the hell? And nothing happened. But we know what happened to you guys today if you did that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to tell you that things have changed, I know that. I'd like to discuss my rules of engagement also. I've been in a lot of speeches in the old days when some little fart like me would get up and talk, and all the JOs sitting back there getting pretty bored. And I remember one time, about 1973, I was at HC3, we had the NHA convention in San Diego. We had the banquet dinner on Saturday night. And Congressman Bob Wilson was a local congressman from the San Diego district, and he was the guest speaker that night. Well, he got up there and he was handed a speech from some flunky on the staff who didn't know anything, and Congressman Bob Smith knew even less. He got up there and babbled on about 20 minutes. They didn't know what he was talking about. And all of a sudden, all the JOs in the back of the room started tossing dinner rolls. And I remember Mike Reaver stood up and screamed, he said, you can't do that to a U.S. congressman. And another volley of rolls go on. Anyway, we survived all that stuff, and we kind of got away with it. But then that was kind of the end of the pre-PC stuff. And I think I remember when it all started, when I was in HC3, we were going to have a squadron dining in. And somebody came up with the idea, let's invite Captain Boynton, Happy Boynton, to come and be our guest speaker at the dining in. And he was still alive then, obviously, in 72, 73. And let's have Happy Boynton come out and give us a speech about what they did to Black Sheep out in the Pacific. Well, we ran it by the wing, and the wing came back and said, no. He was too much of a renegade. You can't have him come and speak at the dining in. I think that was the beginning of PC. That was the first time I ever exposed to it and thought about it quite a bit after that. So, my rules of engagement, back to that. If I bore you, throw something, but don't throw a dinner roll, throw a Heineken or something like that. It's much more appropriate. Okay. To talk a little bit about the squadron and what we did. HAL 3 was, first off, how many people here have heard much about SEALs? Quite a few, good. And we do have some of the SEALs here. I got Captain Brian Mazzell back here, one of our pilots, and 2 of my door gunners. If they stand up, Brian, Barry Renew, and John Andrews. John and Barry served with me on that in 1968. They were 2 young door gunners. I mean, they, 19 years old. Our door gunners were unbelievable. Some went to A school, some hadn't even gone to A school yet. They come out to detachment, serve a year. They served as a door gunner, a crew chief, and a maintenance man. And they worked 15, 18 hours a day to maintain those airplanes. And they were just incredible. And they could handle an M60 machine gun like nobody's business. Of course, they shoot about 8,000 rounds a day, so they got pretty proficient at it. But they were really, really good. And these 2 guys back here were incredible. Barry went on, got out of the Navy. He went on, took the GI Bill, went to college, became an aeronautical engineer, worked for Pratt & Whitney for 28 years. In addition to that, he got in the Army Guard and retired as an as a major in the Army Guard. Now he's an epitome of what Al 3 was all about. They could do it all. And we're very, very proud of those door gunners. They were the backbone of the whole squad. Without them, we couldn't do a thing. We thought we were young, but these guys, like I say, they were 19 years old, and they were out there doing the job. And you're going to see a little video here in just a second of what we did. And you can see what they did. They'd be standing out in the skids. If the machine gun broke outside, they'd unstrap and climb out on the skid and fix the gun on the outside while you were still flying. I think we're going to talk, before we do that, yeah, let's go ahead and show that trailer right now. It just gives you a little insight of exactly, it's a short video, and what it is, they're making a documentary movie. This is just a trailer from it. The movie will probably be coming out in about a year, documentary film. But this gives you a quick 3 or 4 minute insight of exactly what we did in the squadron. So we can go ahead and roll that.
When I got to Vietnam, I was a 19-year-old kid. When I left Vietnam, I was a 20-year-old man.
We would go from a dead sleep to full flight in under 3 minutes, so we were rocking and rolling.
Our pilots and co-pilots, they were gods. I mean, because they could put us in and out of places and do things that any civilian pilot probably messed their britches when they start thinking about some of the things that they did.
It was a very strong bonded brotherhood.
We all trusted each other with our lives.
Just flew in horrendous conditions. We used to fly at night 100 feet over the trees. Somebody shot us, we dropped a flare and then rolled in and shot.
And then we were tasked with a workload that was phenomenal, because I believe we went on 7 days a week, 12-hour days, 2 shifts, and we did that for a whole year.
The people we work with are brothers. They're blood brothers, every one of them. There is no stronger relationship, not even within a family, as we have within our Seawolf Brotherhood.
This squadron stood up in Vietnam and stood down in Vietnam, so there's not a lot of visibility in today's world for what we did. I'd just like to see those of us that were in this event to be able to stand tall.
We were commissioned in Vietnam and decommissioned in Vietnam. And that's never been done before. And it hasn't been done since.
When you go in and somebody's taking fire and they're screaming for help, and you scramble and you roll in, and later they're bringing over some beer and dropping at your hoods, and you guys saved us yesterday. We really appreciate it. Like I said before, we responded to everybody, and we worked closely with the SEALs, who were virtually always in combat. We worked close with the river boats, and they were always out looking for trouble and getting in combat. When they weren't engaged in using our services, we went out and looked for trouble on our own. And anybody else in the area that, if we were in range to respond, we did. If we heard a call, we responded. That's just the way it was.
There was a need for the Seawolves to support, close air support for the PBRs, the SEALs, and we expanded that to all services, special forces, recon, everyone.
Sergeant wants to know, who the hell are we? And I said, tell him. because they were looking for either Air Force or Army. I said, we're Navy SeaWolves.
I'll give you a little bit of insight what we did on a daily basis over there. You can see it was kind of a wild, fun flying. We really had a lot of fun as well as did a lot of missions. Giving a bit of history for the track to get there, I was going through flight training and getting close to the end, and they had a little film on this. It was the Army flying gunships in Vietnam. And I was looking at that film and I said, geez, that looks like something I'd really like to do. So when we got time to get it, we got our wings. We could volunteer. It was all volunteer squad. Everybody who went to Hal Street was a volunteer. So I volunteered for it, and very fortunate I was able to get selected to go. I don't think it was that hard, but it was. We were thrilled to be able to go. Well, just to kind of show you how time went quickly, I got my wings in February of '68. Immediately went to Fort Benning, Georgia for 1 month to learn how to fly a Huey, tactics, guns, and rockets. And that was it. And that was our RAG squadron. And we had never even flown a turbine before. We graduated in the H-34. So we had never even flown a jet engine before. So everything was brand new to us. We got a month in Fort Benning. We went out to San Diego, went through SEER. We went up to Camp Pendleton for a 2 or 3 day weapons course up there. We got to shoot the M60, the M50, the 50 cal, the M79, the M14, M16. And we went down back to San Diego, and shortly thereafter, I was in 3 months, in May of '68, I was in Vietnam. So it was a very short turnaround from the day you got your wings until the day you were in country. Well, we got into country. We were assigned to a detachment. We had, at those days in '68, we had 7 detachments spread out throughout the Delta. Each detachment consisted of 2 UH-1Bs, as you saw in the film. These birds were Army rejects. The Army was transitioning to the Charlie model Huey. So the birds they gave to the Navy were at about 5,000 hours of combat time on them when they turned them over to the Navy. But the Navy at that time was in dire need of support for the PBRs and the swift boats, who previously to that were patrolling up and down on the coast of Vietnam. And then they moved inland into the rivers and the canals. And the boats needed gunship support. And the Army was initially tasked to provide that. Well, the war in '68 was pretty intense. And the Army got pretty thin on their assets, as they could not provide the support for that. So consequently, HAL-3 was formed, commissioned, and it was virtually initially a HC-1 detachment. They sent over there to transition and start the squadron, and then it was officially commissioned as the SeaWolves, HAL-3, in '67. Anyway, we had, like I say, 7 detachments spread out through the Delta. I was in Detachment 3 my first tour, and we were in Mid Long, which is right in the middle of the Delta. We were stationed on an Army airfield, and we had our detachment there. And the detachment consisted of usually 8 to 10 pilots and 20 enlisted people who, again, served as the door gunners, maintenance people, and crew chiefs. And then, in addition to that, Bin Long was a maintenance base, so we had a few extra maintenance people there to service other detachments who come in needed minor repairs, and they could do it at Bin Long. Well, anyway, we got there. We landed in Saigon, of course, and then went to Vung Tau, which is down on the coast. We spent a couple of days there, orientation about liberty policies more than anything else, and they sent us out to detachment. We got out to detachment, and I remember my first day there, I showed up on Sunday morning, and I was assigned to fly with a guy named Tom Cruel, JG, and Tom says, well, let's go out I'm going to show you the area. We got what we used to call ash and trash mission. We go out and deliver mail and move people around and whatever. He said, I'll show you the area and get some idea of what we do. I said, well, that'd be good. So we took off and we went out and we landed one outpost. But these little outposts were manned by Vietnamese Army, and they had 4 or 5 American advisors on each one. Well, they were Army people, obviously, and they weren't getting supported very well. So we would take them out sea rats, we'd take them out coats, we'd take them out beer, that kind of stuff to keep them in good supply and good morale. Well, about the second outpost we landed in the middle, and of course these things were surrounded by concertina wire and minefields, all this stuff. Well, we get ready to take off, and Tom lifts up, and we start going over the fence, and all of a sudden we start losing turns, and we just came down, and all of a sudden we're sitting there, chin bubbles in the water on the outside, the tail boom is straddling the concertina wire fence behind us, and we're sitting there and said, well, this is a hell of a way to start a tour. First day here, we've already crashed. Anyway, we didn't hit anything. The tail rotor was still free and clear. Tom got the turns back up, and we lifted out and took off on and went about our business. So that was my initial impact on detachment. Well, when you got out to det, you were assigned the rear ship co-pilot. Your first job was rear ship co-pilot, and you helped up with the navigation, and the co-pilot shot the machine guns that were mounted externally. In those days, we had the XM16 system, I think it was, had 4 M60s mounted externally. And the co-pilot was responsible for shooting those. You could see in the video the sight in front of them. You could just move the sight around, but you actually just follow the tracers. We carried 10,000 rounds in the back for the flex guns, they call them. And then the pilot was responsible for the rockets. He would shoot the rockets, and the 2 door gunners would supply the M60 support. Later on, we put 50 caliber in the back on the right side. But initially, it was just the door gunners, and you can see they were using a free gun. They weren't mounted at all. And believe me, those guys could, from 1,000 feet, 3 or 4 rounds, they were on target. I mean, they were just tremendously accurate with those. And then we'd make a break in the pass. They'd put 1 foot out and they're shooting underneath the tail boom, still suppressing fire down below. They were incredible. Well, anyway, we'd go out, and our normal operation procedure was we were on duty 24 off and 24 on. We'd go out and we'd usually fly 3 normal patrols during the day. And if there was a scramble, then we would fly additional hops. So whatever took during that day, we'd switch at noon, new crew would come on, and then they'd take over. And we'd go out and we'd patrol, normal patrol, we'd get targets of opportunity, we'd get called up for people in contact, we'd go out, we'd get a lot of support for the Army. The Army would be under attack, these outposts, we'd go out and support the Army outposts. Remember one time we were on a patrol, and I was flying with the lieutenant then, Ray Lazo. He was a Bay of Pigs pilot, and he converted to the U.S. Navy. Well, we got a call one day, we were out on normal patrol, and was from an Army ground officer, an advisor. He was about 30 miles north of our area of operation. And he said, we're getting our ass kicked up here, we got a bunch of wounded, and we need some help, and I can't get any Army support, can you help us? So Ray called our operating boss, Red Rose, and said, we'd like permission to go help these Army guys. Wait one, and they came back and said, negative. Stay in your area of operation. Well, about 5 minutes later, the guy called again. He said, we're taking more casualties. We need help. Ray called again, called back, came back, negative, stay in your area of operation. Ray just said, the hell with that. We went up, saved those guys, and shot up everything we had. We came back, and as we're leaving, Ray told the guy on the ground, he says, we were never here, so don't tell anybody about it. So that's kind of the way we operate, kind of wild and woolly, and kind of did our own thing. We also had what we call the JG fire team. We were all, I show up in country as an ensign, and most of us, all the JLs, the new guys were all JGs. And finally we had the fire team lead, the other AHAC and the 2 COPAs, all JGs. We'd go out and say, okay, the JG fire team is launching today. And the ONC was either a 04 or 05, and they just shake their head and say, oh, we're in trouble. Well, we went out one day and we used to have these ceasefires for Christmas or some holiday or something. They used to be over at 1800. Well, the JGs said, we're going to get them at 1801. We're ready to go. So 1800, we launch out and we fly up the Mekong River, and we see a whole bunch of VC sampans in the canal. Said, oh, this looks like a prime target of opportunity. So we circled back around, went out about 2 miles, dropped down 50 feet, flew in, came in, popped over the tree line. These sampans were just lined up, and we just had everything, rockets, guns, everything, fire and shoot up these sampans. Well, about the second rocket Tom Cruel fired, we were in the lead bird. We were only about 50 feet off the ground. Well, the rocket exploded, came out, blew the holes in the windshield, blew the chin bubble out. His whole side was covered with mud. He couldn't see. I had to take the bird. I said, I got it. And we're still flying, of course. Everything was all right. Call a wing chip. So we got to go back we got to land at the outpost out here. He said, why? All these targets. We said, well, we got a little problem. So we went back and landed. The bird was okay, but we spent 3 hours cleaning the mud off the whole bird. We fly back to Denalong, we land, and ONC comes down. What in the hell did you guys do now? Hey, it was just one of those things that happened. Oh, okay. So anyway, the JG fire team was pretty famous. We had a lot of fun. The gunners would join in the JGs, and we'd go out and do it. We'd go out at night on a rad out. We'd fly down the rivers in pitch black. All we had was a rad out. We'd fly 25 feet, and we'd sneak around with the searchlight looking for VC sampans, and we'd shoot them up. So we had a lot of fun as JGs. We did. So the normal sequence back again, you'd be the wing ship co-pilot, then you'd be the lead ship co-pilot, who actually was probably the most important person in that whole crew, because he was the navigator. And if you look at that picture of the Delta there, there's not much definition out there as far as finding a place. And you get a scramble in the middle of the night, and they say go to X-ray Sierra 516, 619, you better have a pretty good idea where that was to start with, and you better be able to find it exactly. And all we had to navigate on was a 1 to 50,000 map. So the lead ship co-pilot was really a very, very important part of the whole evolution to go out and get on target. And especially if it was a seal op or something. Seal ops, we knew pretty much if they were out in the field, we'd stand by at our hoops. We'd stay right there on the line. And if they got in trouble, they would call, and we could just be in the air. And as you saw there, 2-3 minutes, we were in the air. We had the bird all cocked, ready to go, jump in, and we go out and support the SEALs in the middle of the night, and whatever they needed. So we had a lot of good fun doing that, and did a lot of support for them. I remember one time I was a fire team lead, and went out, and the SEALs were in a position where they had a pretty large group. It was just a squad out there, 7 SEALs, and they were not in contact, but they had sighted a whole bunch of VC, and a little bit bigger than they wanted to tangle with. So they said, why don't you guys come in and put some rockets on them? I said, okay, we'll come in. I said, I'm going to shoot 1 rocket for marking round, and you adjust the fire. I told everybody else, hold your fire. I shot 1 rocket, and the radio would go, ceasefire, we're hit. And I said, oh, Jesus, I hit him. But what happened, he comes back in about 2 minutes, he said, don't worry about it. He said, one of the guys was peeking over the dike and got a little piece of shrapnel in his forehead. He's all right, keep firing, you're right on target. So we had our exciting times, and we did a lot of stuff with the PBR boats. Those guys were incredible. They would go out in some of these canals. You saw some of the PBRs in the video. They'd go up these canals that were 25 feet wide, and they would come under attack up there, and they'd get shot up a lot. They really would. They're just a fiberglass boat, and they would get shot up, and sometimes they'd get sunk, sometimes they'd get wounded. We'd medevac off the back of a PBR if we had to. So they were our main why we were there, basically, was the SEALs and the PBRs and swift boats. We didn't do much of the swift boats, but they were there. Anyway, we did that, and like I say, a year tour, you moved up, you had to get $500 total time to be an AHAC. Then you moved up to be the aircraft commander of the wing ship. And then when you got 750 hours, you qualified, then you became a fire team lead. So here we were, still JGs, and we were fire team leads. And we're up there, and I can honestly say I had more responsibility as a JG than I ever had as a squadron CO, air boss, anything else I ever had the rest of my career. And we were out there as JGs. I mean, it was just an incredible amount of responsibility they entrusted to us that we did this. And of course, when you're a JG, you're invincible, you can't get hurt, right? It's impossible. Well, then we developed our own tactics. I was talking to Barry Blue about this earlier. We developed our own tactics on the go, because we didn't have much of a tactics manual. And it was pretty much try something, and if it didn't work, try something else. We tried different things. One time it would work good. We tried that, the way we made approaches, the way we shot the rockets, the altitude, everything else. We kind of adjusted as necessary. On my second tour, I was the stand officer and tactics officer. So I developed this tactic where down in the Delta, way down at the bottom of the Mekong Delta, there's a place called the Yumin Forest down there. Well, on the west side of the Yumin Forest was just a jungle, huge jungle. And that's where the BC were infiltrating supplies and troops coming in. And they bring them in by boats and off the coast, and then you go up these canals in the Yumin. Well, I developed a tactic where we went down there and we'd fly up the coast at night. The lead ship would just have this little red rotator on the top. Everything else is blacked out. The wing ship was totally blacked out. He'd be about an eighth of a mile behind, and we're flying 125 feet. And we go along the coast, and if you can see a little canal or river going up the thing, the lead ship would flick on the searchlight just for a second and see if there was some targets there, and he'd flick off the searchlight. If there was a target there, then the wing ship would shoot guns and rockets, and we just kept on going. We never slowed down, no matter you either got them or you didn't, but we didn't stop at all. So we did a lot of crazy things. I mean, we did some ops. We went into Cambodia. My second tour, we went into Cambodia. We were allowed to go into Cambodia, and we couldn't land in Cambodia. We could fly into Cambodia, but we couldn't land. And what we would do, well, they started running these convoys of merchant ships up the Mekong River to Phnom Penh, and these convoys are going about 4 or 5 knots up the river. Well, the VC and NVA would attack these boats from the shores. They were going up the river. So some nincompoop up in Nav 4B in Saigon decided, well, what we can do here, this is easy. We'll provide a gunship support to escort them, and then when they come under attack, we have one of our slicks. We got some slicks in 1970, and they put a 50-gallon drum of oil in the back of the bird. They put a ring around the exhaust. And the idea was, when they came under fire, your mission was to fly at 50 feet between the guys shooting on the bank and the merchant ships and lay out the smoke screen so they couldn't see them. Well, we did that about twice, and that, you can see that wasn't a very self-sustaining mission. It didn't last too long doing that. So we decided that was not a good thing to do. But when we did fly to Cambodia, here's how we would do it. We were on a YRBM, which is a berthing ship. And we had 2 birds on there, which was pretty good living compared to other places. We had air conditioning, good food. It was pretty nice. Well, we were on the boat. It was 40 feet from the flight deck to the water. Well, on a normal mission at night, we would take off. We only put 600 pounds of fuel in the bird. And if we took off at night, what we do is we pick up into a hover, max power, you tip it over the edge, start down, the low RPM warning lights beeping like crazy. The co-pilot's job is to call off the altitude on the radar altimeter. And as you're coming down, it's 35 feet, 30 feet, 25 feet. If you got to 20 feet and you weren't, translation lift hadn't kicked in yet, the door gunners would have their box of 7.62, 1,500, 2,200 rounds in each box. They would kick those out the door. And that was about 400 pounds, and then usually that was enough to save you from going into the water. But every night hopping, when you get down there at about 15 feet, you start, you hear the thing start flying, you see reflectors, the light off the water. At about 10 feet, you finally got flying steady. That was the hardest part about a night mission off the boat, believe me. Anyway, when we used to go to Cambodia, what we would do, we would take off the boat, we went to a place called Chow Duck, which was right on the border. It was an army base. And we'd land there, we'd go over and refuel, we'd fill it to the top. This is like gas pump out here, this is pressure refueling. We fill it to the top, the crew chief would say, okay sir, we're full. And then you pick it up, tip it on the right skid, he'd stand on the skid, he'd get an extra 100 pounds in the tank. We could get 1,300 pounds in there, okay? Then we had to get from there out to the runway, which is about 300 or 400 yards. And it would take at least 3 times to get out there. You'd start air taxiing out there 2 feet, and you lose turns. So you had to set it down, get your turns back, and get back out to the runway out there. So we finally got out to the runway, and it was a 2,200-foot PSP, which is the old perforated steel plating you saw in World War II. That was the runway, 2,200 feet long. We'd start down that runway on the skids, just start sliding. Get light on the skids, start sliding, slide and slide and slide. Finally, you get a translational lift, and you get airborne, and you go off the end of that runway. Low RPM light is beeping like crazy, and you'd be climbing less than 100 feet a minute. So you were absolutely maxed out. Well, that gave us enough fuel that we could fly from Chow Duck to Phnom Penh. We had enough time for 5 minutes on station to shoot everything we shot. We could shoot, had to shoot everything we could shoot 1 pass. We had to beat feet back to the boat. The boat was sitting right on the border. We'd come back and make 1 pass around, and we land every time with less than 50 pounds of fuel in the border. So it was a pucker factor every time. And you became a gas pusher. You always run out of fuel. I mean, 20-minute light was like an RPM light, was always there. It just never went away. It was always on, it seemed like. I remember one time I had to go pick up an engine up at Bin Long and take it to Ben Tui. They needed an engine on there for one of the birds. So I said, okay, I can do this. It's only 20 miles. I'll take 300 pounds of fuel when I get to Bin Long. That'll get me back to Ben Tui. Because it was in a can, it had the external it, and had to lift it up over the perimeter wall. So I said, 300 pounds would be plenty, it's only 20 miles. So I pick it up, and we start flying. I said, this is great. I get up, anything I got above about 55 knots, the load would start oscillating, go back and forth, and I couldn't go any faster. So I had to slow down to 55 knots, and I'm looking at, and you can see Ben Tui out there, right there, but you're cruising along, and you're saying, I'm not sure, the fuel's going down, and we're not making much progress. And I said, well, we got about 2 choices. We can either press on, or I can pickle this engine and be done with it. But I said, we can't afford to lose this engine, so we'll go for it. So in the last quarter mile, you have to go across the Mekong River to get to Ben Tui, the airstrip there. So we got down there, I said, here we go. And we made it across the strip and got the can out. I had no idea how little fuel we had left, but it was very, very low, believe me. So again, we were always fighting. It was always a constant battle, fuel. Okay, where else I want to talk about a couple actions we were involved in. I was a co-pilot, then lead ship co-pilot, and I think it was September of '68. And we were out on our own patrol one day, and we got a call from a Navy oiler, which was under attack in the Mekong River. Navy oiler was a 300-foot long ship that was carrying petrol fuel up to the place called Sadek, which was the PBR base. They were taking fuel up to them. And of course, this thing's doing 5 knots, and they're coming up the river, Well, they had to go to just north of Bin Long. They had to go around a real little bottleneck. Well, the VC were waiting for them on the bank, and they opened up fire on this oiler, and that's when we got the call from the captain. The captain of the boat was a senior chief, and he said, "We're under attack. We're taking fire. We got some critically wounded people. We need a medevac off here badly, and we need some help suppressing this fire." And our pilot that day was Lieutenant Jimmy Walker, who just recently passed away last year. He was a lieutenant, senior guy. And Jimmy Walker was a temporary fire team lead for us, and he was flying that day. And Jimmy said, "We'll be there." We just happened to we were less than 5 minutes away from this boat, the ship going up the river. And we had a full load of fuel and ammo, practically. So we rolled in this boat, we could see it taking fire, and he's just chugging along in this little narrow thing. And tree lines, there's fire just coming out of the tree line, really heavy. And we just rolled in on top of right over the top of the oil with both birds and just dumped everything we could possibly dump in one pass. All the rockets and fired machine guns as much as we could. We came back around, and the captain said, "Can you get this injured person off the boat?" Well, of course, there's no landing area on this oiler. Well, Jimmy Walker says, "I think if you get him up on the bow, I think we can hover on the bow, and I think we can get him on the bow. I think we can get him aboard there." So he said, "Get him up up aboard." So Greg Reluda was the right door gunner in our bird. John Andrews was the door gunner in the second bird. Well, we're flying in, and Jimmy says, "Okay, I think we can do it." And we fly in and we make an approach to the ship. And we're up in the bow, and there's a little stanchion about this high with a cable stanchion around the front. And Jimmy said, "I think I just got enough clearance with the rotors on the mast if we hover right on top of that point of the bow." They said, "Get him up there." So we go into a hover right on the bow, and you can visualize this. The boat's going up the river like this. We're hovering sideways, maintaining position on the thing. They get the guy up on deck. My left door gunner, myself, we're firing machine guns at the bank on the other side. We're taking fire the whole time. And about this time, they get the guy up, and Barry Reluda's out there trying to load this guy in. He gets out of the bird. He's straddling the stanchion, trying to figure out how he can do it. He just told me today, so I could see paint flying all over where the bullets were hitting all around the area. And he was afraid he was going to fall in the water. He had the forethought to think that, okay, I'm going to get rid of my chicken plate. They wore an armored plate. So I'm going to get rid of that, because if I go in the water, I'm going to keep it on. I'm going to sink so I can get below the props if I have to go and meet the boat, if we don't make it. Well, right about in the middle of this whole evolution, the VCs start mortaring us. And we're sitting there in a hover, and mortars are coming down, landing in the water all around us. I'm looking down. They're literally almost going through the rotor system. And I'm telling myself, this doesn't look good. I said, we're probably going to buy the farm right here today, right now. This is probably the end of it, but we'll see. Well, we got the guy aboard. Barry got him aboard the aircraft. We took off. We went back to Bin Long. They had an ambulance waiting. They dumped this guy off. We had all our rest of our dead out there. They were standing by with rockets and guns and ammo. Threw all these rockets in, new bullets. Both birds loaded up. We went back again. He's still under attack, still taking fire. John Andrews told me we made 5 different round trips to support this thing going up the river. The door gunner shot 2 birds, shot 20,000 rounds of 7.62 themselves. I shot about 40,000 rounds, and the other bird shot about 40,000 rounds also, plus about 100 rockets. Anyway, we got the guy out, and the guy was saying he lived and everything, and Jimmy Walker was awarded the Navy Cross for that evolution. So it was quite an operation. It was a fun when it was over, but it wasn't easy, believe me. Anyway, another quick one. We still got time, I guess. Another quick story, a SEAL story. We were down in Bin Long one day, and we got a call, that they wanted us to go up to Dogtown with both birds and a slick as soon as we could. So we jumped in. I took a slick. This is my second tour. I took a slick up there, and we landed in Dogtown. We went in for a seal brief. And what had happened was they had a chew hoy, which is a VC who would turn himself over to the good guys and turn himself in. Well, the SEALs had interrogated him, and he had told them there was a VC hospital that was about 15 miles away. And they wanted to go hit this hospital. So the plan was we got a bird dog, an OB-1 Army bird dog. He was going to fly out and fly at 3,500 feet. He was going to mark the target for us and direct us in, give us vectors in. We had the one slick. Yeah, one slick, two slicks, I'm sorry, we had 2 slicks and 2 guns. And the word way we did it was within the two slicks were in the lead, then the 2 gunships to follow. We got out there, 5 miles away, we dropped down on the tree line, down on the 3 or 4 feet off the deck. We flew up and the bird dog gave us guidance. He said, okay, the next tree line, you're gonna pop over it 150 meters out. At the end of it, there's a large hooch out there, that's your target. So we came swooping over, jumped over that tree line, came back down, came out and came into the dike. Both slicks just came down, just slammed onto the deck. The SEALs were out in about a second and a half. This place explodes. People are coming out the doors, out the windows. The SEALs are firing, and I'll never forget it. It was a VC who jumped out, he had an AK-47. He started running down the dike with his AK-47. And I said, I'm gonna get that little son of a gun. And I tried to spear him with the skid. I was chasing him down the dike with the aircraft. And just before I got him on the skid, he dove off into the rice paddy. So I missed it. Anyway, we went back and refueled, and let me back up 1 second here. During the brief, well, we're still briefing what we're going to do. The SEALs were in there, and they're all dressed up in all their gear, and everything else. And they're going through the brief. Okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're this. One guy says, okay, your job is, if everything goes to hell, he says, your first job is to kill Charlie. And all the SEALs start laughing. Ha, ha, ha. And Charlie starts laughing too. He had no idea it was listening to his execution orders. But anyway, we went back and we refueled, and we stood by in about 2 hours. They said, we're ready to go. Well, this time it's getting dark. So we go back, and we come back in, and the SEALs said, we got to get in here quick because we're taking fire. Actually, I'll lean back again a little bit, I'm sorry. We went in once and picked up a bunch of prisoners, 6 or 8 prisoners and a bunch of documents, and flew that back, refueled, then stood by. Well, then we came back in again. It's dark now, it's pitch black. But the SEALs said, okay, they marked the LZ for us. So what they did was they used to put a thing in there, at the M79, a light, so you can see up, you can see where they were, but you couldn't see it from the ground. And that was our aiming point. We'd go in and just use that as a landing point and just completely blacked out and just come down and would land where it was. You had to trust it was a good LZ because you couldn't see anything. And you just fly your rat out down to the ground and land. Well, we get on the ground and the SEALs are coming back to the bird. They're shooting, they're backing up, shooting their way all the way back. The DC were moving in from all over the area, taking fire, and we got both birds loaded up with the SEALs. We lifted out our night. Tracers are flying all around us. We got back to Dogtown, did the debrief. Not one person was injured, shot, or took a hole in the bird, nothing. It was absolutely a wonderful mission. We went back and drank beer and had a hell of a good time. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, like I say, we had a lot of stories, but we don't want to stay too long. I don't want to get hit with the dinner rolls. But anyway, in March of '69, we were still a bit long, and they decided that the forces in Saigon had determined the intelligence was that the NHA and BC were moving in from the Cambodian border along the western border of Vietnam, on the Delta. So they wanted to see what the infiltration rate was and what was going on. So they deployed a SEAL platoon up to a place called Ha Tien, which is right on the Gulf of Siam in the Cambodian border, little small town there. Well, they got up there and they decided they need gunship support. So our detachment went up to Ha Tien and set up camp up there. It was literally camp. We had tents. We didn't have any water. The only time we could get a shower, we could take a shower or wash in the ocean. But if you wanted a freshwater shower, you just had to wait till it rained and you run out and soap up and rinse down quick and hope you got the soap off before the rain quit. And we had to bring all our fuel in by 50-gallon drums. The Army flew it in for us. They fly 4 50-gallon drums in with a bird. They use one, so we were gaining 3 every time. They had to stash them. And then to refuel our airplane, we had the old hurdy-gurdy. We had to pump the fuel in by hand. The crew chiefs did, and the door gunners fill up. Well, the SEALs would go out. What they want to do, they'd go out at night, and they would go out on patrol. And what we would do is we stripped down our birds totally from all the ammo and all the guns, extra weight. We could put 6 SEALs in each bird. And we'd go out at night, we'd fly up to what's called the Vente Canal. It ran from the ocean all the way up to Chowda, man-made canal, right on the border. We'd fly up at night, we'd fly up there, and because you could see for 100 miles. So in order to hide where the SEALs were going to be inserted, we'd go up and make 3 or 4 false landings. We'd go up and come down to a hover, sit there for a few seconds, then move on. We'd do this about 4 or 5 times. Well, somewhere in that one of those sequences, the SEALs would jump out. Then we'd race back to Ha Tien. We'd load up all our guns and ammunition and stand by. If they had a good target, they would call us up and we'd go up and shoot if they needed it. Sometimes they just did it on their own if it was a small group. So that worked pretty good. And we'd take our 55-gallon drums downtown and we'd trade those in for ice so we could keep our beer cold. So we had a pretty good little operation going there. Well, anyway, on the night of the 22nd of March, which was my birthday, we were sitting down on the beach having a beer, and the SEALs were down on the beach, and one of the SEALs was the sniper in the platoon. Well, his name was R.J. Thomas, second class petty officer. He was the sniper. He was sitting out there at night. And he had a sniper rifle out, and he was shooting seagulls at 600 yards with a sniper rifle. I mean, he would shoot. It seemed like forever. All of a sudden, the seagull go whoop, drop off the post at 600 yards. And those days, it's not like today with the sniper rifle. They weren't quite as accurate, but he could shoot. Well, anyway, the next day, 23rd, he came to me and he said, "There's a report that there's a 4.2 mortar NBA or a BC mortar on top of a place called Nui Gayung Mountain, which was right on the border." And he said, "It's capable of hitting all the way down here." So I'd like to go up and recon that if we can see if the mortar is on top of the mountain or not. And we've been putting strikes at this mountain quite frequently. It was full of caves. We'd go up there and we'd shoot. They'd shoot back at us and we'd shoot. And I said, "Okay, we can do that." I said, "We'll go out. What we'll do, we'll go on a normal patrol. We'll fly up, we'll do whatever we're going to do, and then we'll climb up to 3,500 feet. You can have he had a stabilized binoculars. I said, you can look down and see if you can see that mortar you're looking for." Okay, well then good. So we load up and we take off and we go up to Nui Dayang, and we actually made a patrol all the way up to Chowdak and came back, and we're coming back, and I said, "Okay, we'll put a strike in to get our weight down, and then we can climb up high." So we rolled in and shot. We took some fire. My wingman says he took a couple of hits. I said, "Okay." So we went back and landed at the Ha Tien and looked out. They were just superficial holes in the bird, a couple through the elevator, and a couple through the fuselage. They weren't anything major. We put some tape over the top of them, and I said, "We'll go back again and put another strike in." So he had been leading that flight, and so the next leg, I said, "Okay, I was going to lead the next strike in there." So we take off, refuel, rearm again. We take off, and I said, "Okay, we'll make a pass in. I'm going to break left. You cover me, and then we'll come back around again." Well, we came in and made the pass, shot a couple of rockets, made my break, and as I made the break, the whole world opened up for that mountain. We didn't know at the time, but an NBA battalion had moved into that mountain. Well, they opened up on us with a 51 cal and all kinds of small arms fire. And as we're right in the middle of the break, you could feel the airplane lurch, and all the gauges start unwinding. I said, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Called my wingman, I said, we're hit, we're going in. And Randy Miller was the trail ship pilot. He said, I got you covered. And we were coming down. I said, okay, we're going to try to enter an auto as best we can. But again, we're flying 1,000 pounds over max gross weight. So we're very, very heavy. So auto rotations are very, very difficult. And of course, we're only about 400 feet to start with. So it was not an ideal situation to be in with a heavily loaded bird at that low of altitude. So we're coming down, and on the way to the ground, the fire was just intense. I got shot through the left foot. My co-pilot was shot and was killed on the way down. Anyway, we got down to the ground. We hit the ground. I did a kind of a semi-flare, pull and collect, and we just hit the ground, just wham, probably a 40G landing. We hit the ground. The bird pitched up and went up this way, over the top. We ended up upside down. Well, in the crash, my door gunner on the right side was instantly killed in the crash when the transmission came forward and killed him. The SEAL, R.J. Thomas, was sitting in the back. He had his stoner with him, and he got thrown out. He was on a gunner's belt. He got thrown out of the aircraft, and when we hit the ground, my face went forward. I hit the rocket side with my head. Knocked my left eyeball was actually, I didn't know at the time, it was knocked out, was hanging on my cheek when we finally got on the ground. I was unconscious. Well, I got upside down. Meanwhile, my wing bird calls for a mayday, and an army bird was about 40 miles away. He said, I'm coming. So we hit the ground. I was unconscious, and the other two people were, and the left door gunner, when we hit the ground, his chicken plate had come down and snapped both his thigh bones. Both his femurs were broken. And the bird started on fire almost immediately. So RJ came over. I'm hanging upside down in the seat, unconscious. He popped my seatbelt. I fell down on the ground and came to when I hit the ground. And meanwhile, my wingman landed, and one of his crewmen got out and helped the guy with the two broken legs, drug us away from the airplane. We got over behind the aircraft, and wingman took off again. He's firing, and we're on the ground, and we're laying there. We did an inventory of our weapons, and of course, in the bird to start with, we had, each door gunner had 2 M60s, a pistol. We had 2 M16s, 2 M14s, M79, and the SEAL had his own stoner, okay? Everything was either burned, damaged. The SEAL stoner had a bend in the barrel. It was totally worthless. The only weapon we had left in the whole aircraft was my personal .45. Well, we're laying on the ground, and these guys are start coming off the mountain now. So they're coming down. It's about maybe 500 meters from the base of the mountains where we were. We're out in the middle of an open rice paddy. So we got behind the burning aircraft, and we're laying on the ground. My eyeballs laid out on my cheek, and foot shot open, blew my boot right off my foot with a hit. And we're laying there, and the Army guy comes. Eventually he comes, and meanwhile RJ's sitting there. He had 32 rounds total, and these guys had started approaching. And he was laying right across, I'm laying out like this. He's laying right across my body, pointing in their direction. He fired a shot. Some guy popped his head over, died. He hit him every time. 50 to 75 yards. He was hitting with that .45. Anyway, the Army guy shows up finally. He shows up, and he gets about right over our head. He comes into a hover right over top of us. He's flying a D model Huey. And all I had in him was a 1 M60 door gun that the crew chief handled. Well, they came into a hover right over top of us, and about the time they did that, the NVA opened up on us again. The pilot got shot through the leg. He lost control of the airplane, and he knocked his foot off the rudder. The aircraft is doing 360s over our head. the crew chief takes a round through the wrist, and the co-pilot, who'd only been there like 3 or 4 days, he grabs the bird and he takes off. Well, that's when the NBA thought they had us, and they started coming at us. And RJ just later again, he just plugging these guys. And hit every time he shot, he killed somebody. Well, not quite, but almost. Anyway, the Army, the injured pilot in the Army said, you gotta go back and get those guys. So they came back in and they landed about 30 feet from us, landed in the thing, and they were taking fire. You could hear the bullets hitting their aircraft. And we were crawling and dragging to the aircraft. And we get over there, and we all get in, and everybody's in the aircraft except for RJ. He's still laying on the ground. His back was hurt pretty bad. He's laying on the ground, and these 3 NVAs start running at the aircraft with AK-47s. Well, the Army pilot who was wounded stuck his his M16 out the window, and he shoots 2 of them coming at him at about 30 yards. Drops these guys. Well, the 3rd guy comes around right in front of the aircraft with an AK, and the pilot's trying to get his gun in the window. And he trying like this to get in, and this guy's standing right in front of an AK-47. Well, RJ rolls over with a 45, and boom! And the Army guy told me later, so I'll never forget it. He said, this guy just picked him right off the ground at 45 from about 10 feet, went flying, and he said, RJ looked up. He said, did you see that banana? He still left. So anyway, he gets in the aircraft. We all take off. RJ grabs the M60 from the injured door gunner, and he's telling the pilot, don't go yet. We still got targets of opportunity here. He's blasting away with his M60, still killing people. Anyway, we got back. We flew, it was about 50, 60 miles, I guess, to Bentui Hospital. And we're back there, and we get back to the hospital. Anyway, RJ had killed 27 NVA out of 32 rounds. Pretty good shooting. So we got back to the hospital, and I remember laying there, and they put my eye back in the socket, and they kept saying, can you see? I said, I can see fine. What's the problem? How many fingers? I said, 2, 4, whatever. I said, I can see this. My leg shot, not my eye. And I didn't know at the time what the problem was. Anyway, I spent about 3 days in Vietnam hospital. Then I got medevaced on a C-141 Japan, and I spent about a month in Japan in an Army barracks. They call it Kashimi Barracks up right outside of Tokyo. Spent a month in there going through a little bit of physical therapy and trying to I had a couple operations on my foot, whatever. And the worst part was I got there, I'd only been in the hospital an hour. We're laying there, we're up on the 3rd deck of this place. There's like a room as big as this. There's like 250 bunks in there, or racks, not racks, but gurney type thing, with 250 patients in there. We're all laying there, and an earthquake hits. I mean, I'm laying there, and the walls are going like this. They're waving. I say, God dang, I'm going to die in an earthquake in Japan after I survive all this stuff. Well, anyway, it stopped, and these guys looked like bumper car city in that big room. Gurneys are going banging and crashing all over the place. Guys are screaming, IVs are getting ripped out of their arms. It was a comical situation. Everybody survived. It wasn't that bad a deal. Anyway, so I spent about a month in Japan, and then went back to Oakland Naval Hospital. I recovered there, was on limited duty for a better part of a year, and then it was time for orders again, and I talked to the detailer. I said, where are you going to send me? Well, I can send you to HC3, I can send you to Franklin. And I said, no, I want to go back to Hell 3. No, you can't go back to Hell 3. I said, that's where I want to go. He said, no, you can't. If you've been injured for more than 30 days, you can't go back to the combat zone. I said, that's a bunch of baloney. Let me go back. And I said, I'll talk to you next week. So we hang up, and I call him back next week and talk to him again and argue. Finally, he knew I was pretty serious, and he said, well, your wife will kill me. I said, I'll tell you what, you take care of the waiver, I'll take care of my wife. So I got orders to go back to Vietnam again. I said I only had 11 months in the first time, so I need to finish my tour. So I went back the second time, and I got my 12 months in. So anyway, but RJ again he was put in for the Medal of Honor for this action by the Army, but the Navy for whatever reason, downgraded to a Navy Cross. So he was awarded the Navy Cross for his evolution, but I wouldn't be here today for him. So it was an evolution, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed my tour. It was the highlight of my whole Navy career, believe me. If you got any questions, whatever, I'll be glad to talk afterward. I know you got something going on next. Is that right, Captain Bill? And if there's any questions, I could answer them now or be in the bar later on or whatever. So I enjoyed coming and appreciate it. And you kind of see what we did as JOs. Thank you.